Welcome to a conservative conversation. I'm thinking about how to express my true thoughts and feelings at this moment. It's clear that historically Americans have risked their lives and gone out in the streets to fight for civil rights, for freedoms. I, of course, grew up in an era, I'm 74 years old now, and I was watching the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King and company on television as close to live as they were able to broadcast in those days on the three major networks, which is what we had to look at on television. And one of the things I thought about too in this moment is the courage and leadership of people like Jack Smith, Katie Fang, Allison Gill, Malala Yousafzai, Tarana Burke, Mark Elias, Norm Eisner, Don Lemon, Brian Tyler Cohen, Glenn Kirshner, Greta Thunberg, Kara Swisher, Jessica Denson, Nicole Wallace, the Mysalis brothers, and the rest of the Midas Touch Network cohort, the Bulwark, the Lincoln Project, and so many more who inspire me to participate in this battle to regain our democracy and speak truth to power. If you haven't already, please join Indivisible, the Women's March, and Project 50501. And note that none of these are political parties. It's not from a political bias perspective that I'm talking to you. I'm speaking as a person who's in favor of freedom, liberty, and Americans' rights. We need to work very hard, and this is a very optimistic message. We, I believe, will win this effort. It's a fight. So far, we've been able to achieve many goals peacefully, but we have a lot of work to do. And the powers arrayed against us are substantial, not to be trifled with. I think we need to work and work and work. This presentation is a hopeful one, as I mentioned, while I'm calling out the clear challenges before us in as factual a way as I am able. Thereby, I'm embodying some fair criticism of those arrayed against us. And what I mean by us is we, the people, the citizens of the United States of America, those of us who are capable, are called upon to join together, stay together, and fight for our rights, freedoms, liberties, etc. I think a lot of you might agree with this idea. What do you think? I mean, are you in this fight with us? I hope so. I believe, I already know so many of us are engaged. Anyhow, so what I wanted to say is that we are already winning multiple small battles and some larger ones, and working away at the fictitious foundations of this current administration. I've heard people say otherwise, but I argue, and I think a lot of people, many people agree with me, millions perhaps, or more. But ICE and the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement and the Customs and Border Patrol agents, two separate entities sponsored by Homeland Security under the auspices of Homeland Security, and overall the Justice Department. It's a hard thing to say nowadays. I would say that they are perfectly, even though people say otherwise, as I said, are perfectly trained to harass, instigate, provoke, and perpetrate violence on us American citizens, as well as peaceful and lawful immigrants and anyone else. They're applying aggressive chokeholds banned by law enforcement, punching, kicking, using quick throwdowns, pushing, using chemical spray, pepper bullets, and as we know, executing people with high caliber weapons, shooting people, injuring them, and murdering them. It's sickening. And what's really, for me, terrible is hearing how these agents are glorying in their heinous state-sponsored and state-justified crimes. It's sickening. They are as intimidating as they can be. I mean, we've all seen them out there. We've seen the horrific images of these thugs. They're heavily armed and armored troops, kitted out like they were in Kabul or Baghdad, Afghanistan and Iraq. And I have to say, I believe that anyone and everyone on the side of these agents is a supporter and enabler of the assault and attack on our norms, our freedoms, the rule of law, our democracy, and our rights, and they need to be held to account, along with the criminals in charge of their deployment. But we really need to focus, especially to start with, on the criminals in charge of their deployment, and then work our way down the line to people following the illegal orders. And I'm sure they've just been sadly and horrifically disinformed about the realities of the world in which we live and the dangers that people like you and I pose. Just as an aside here, just pointing out in the background, you got a partially started image of Alex Preddy, and then there's one there of Renee Nicole Good, two American heroes who were, from my perspective, my point of view, executed by the state deliberately in order to instill fear, trepidation in those of us who are protesting peacefully. They are heroes. They are to be venerated, honored, respected, valued, and remembered for as long as we can, as people who literally gave their lives for the cause of American democracy. They are true heroes in my mind. To those who may have a different point of view, I had this to ask them. I said, can you really support this? Can you really support this? The American people do not. Most of us are. I think the great majority of Americans, more than 2/3 of us, do not support this. And if you're one of the people who does, do you really like the person you see in the mirror? Are you just in it for yourself? Perhaps you too are a malignant narcissist and a sociopath like the president. Is that possible? I know I'm sorry, I don't mean to insult anyone, but I have a hard time reconciling any of this activity anywhere in our country. I used to read about it, watch the newsreels from the Second World War about the people in the fascist Italy under Benito Mussolini and the fascist Germany under Adolf Hitler. I saw the death camps. I saw the hatred, the beatings, the harassment, just horrible things that occurred during that time. And I thought to myself, my God, how could that happen anywhere in the world? And sadly, we're observing it right here where we live. We're building the concentration camps. They're doing that as quickly as possible all over the country, wherever they can get away with it. We need to stop that. We need to keep pushing against it. I don't know how effectively we might be able to intervene in all the construction projects or, blocking, bringing people in and those kinds of things that would be potentially very powerful, peaceful protests, and I think many of us are working on these ideas. And stay tuned. And if you have any ideas, please take a moment to list your comments, and also, if you would, please subscribe to this station. I'd like to keep making these podcasts and intend to keep going. So thank you very much.